what makes a song be something of magic versus just a regular song? It's the energy, it's the intent, it's the emotion you put into it that creates the energy. Basically, without emotion, there's nothing to feed that energy. Without the energy, you can't have this raw form of magic. And without the intent, you can't turn that raw magic into, into something. You have to have a specific intent for something, to give it a sort of a task or designation, to give it a name, to give it its purpose. You have to have that intent. It can't just be a raw something. I mean, I guess it can, but theoretically, to make a song be something that's got a lot of magic in it, it needs intense emotion-based energy, and it needs some sort of intent to go along with it, and they have to harmonize. Those two things have to harmonize. So if you've got the right intent but the wrong energy, it's not going to work. If you've got the right energy but the wrong intent, it's not going to work. And there's two main types of songs. There's the ancient paganism songs, where a lot of them, most of them unfortunately, have been lost and forgotten, but you can revive them, you can bring them back, as long as you've got some kind of ancestor guiding you. It doesn't have to be a hereditary ancestor, it just has to be somebody, usually a spirit of some sort, that remembers those songs. And a lot of times it ends up being your own spirit guardians, but basically they have that knowledge and wisdom, and they're telling you what notes to play, and they're telling you what notes to play for how long, or you sing, whatever you're doing, whether it's an instrument or you're singing. But they are telling you what to do, and you're just basically repeating what you hear, like a game of telephone. You're just doing what in your mind you're being told to do. So that's kind of being guided. For me, being guided is different for everyone, but for me, I'll actually hear the song in my head, and then I'll just play whatever I hear in my head. And those are very sacred songs. I mean, they're typically meant for very specific work, for very specific things. They're not just brought out for any random reason, just for fun. I mean, they're protection, healing. They're meant for really serious stuff. Usually, those ancient kind of songs. Then there's the kind of song, like I was talking about before, that you just kind of, to be a pagan song doesn't necessarily have to have any ancient roots to it. As long as you've got the right energy and the right intent, you can actually create your own song with your own magic. And at that point, it's something new that you're creating, your own self is creating. But the catch is that in order to have adequate magic, it needs that intent, and it needs desperately that energy, that raw energy that you have to put forth. And typically that comes from you, but it's also in part coming from whatever instrument you're playing, assuming that you're not just singing. Whatever instrument you play is going to add energy. So you want to choose the instrument that is fitting for said energy that you're trying to achieve in said song. For example, if you're trying to influence someone, you have to read their personality and read whether or not they would find said song or said melody or said just raw energy, raw emotion of a song, whether they would find that appealing and luring, or whether they would find that downright offensive. Because depending on who it is, we're all individuals. Some people are going to find one song luring, while the same exact song someone else might find horridly offensive and just, hate it completely. So you have to kind of sense what they're going to like and what they're not going to like, and what they're going to be drawn to. And not only are you going to have to play a song that they're being drawn to, but you have to pick the right instrument for that type of song. That's why I have 9 different flutes. I have 9 because they all play different. They all are different energy. They all bring forth a different baseline energy, and they all play different songs. And one type of song on one, you may not necessarily be able to play on the other. Now, some of them are interchangeable, but sometimes you just can't. You need something with that energy. If it doesn't have it, then you're not going to be able to do it. So you're going to have to pick the right instrument, assuming that you're not, just singing. If you're singing, I guess that makes it a little easier. But even then, you've got to make sure that your voice is in that situation, in some kind of influence situation. You're going to have to make sure that is appealing to whoever, whatever. But for other stuff like protection, healing, magic, you can fumble on the notes. You can hesitate on the notes. But if your intent is there, you may be a terrible singer like me, but if your intent is there, on a lot of these protection rituals and stuff, if your intent is there, that's a whole different story. Because it doesn't matter if you're not perfect, doesn't matter if you're off key, doesn't matter if you accidentally hit the wrong note. You don't have to start all over. Just keep going, hit the right note, and then keep going with the next note, and the universe is going to know that whatever your intent is, the universe is just going to know that, and it's going to understand what you meant, even if you made a mistake. So 9 times out of 10, I won't say everything, but 9 times out of 10, any kind of other protection, magic, war magic, healing magic, cleansing magic, usually you don't have to get it extremely accurate. You don't have to worry but the only time you have to really, really tread lightly is when you're trying to do some kind of influence, and you're not going to be able to influence anybody unless they find something luring, and then it is something that you have to be a little more accurate on usually. So I just wanted to go over more in depth about that, because I think that in order to actually, the first video was just kind of an introduction, get your feet wet. In order to actually learn how to do this, you need a little bit more information. And so even though you're like, yeah, we already talked about this, I'm giving you the details that you're going to need to know to kind of open that door. Anything I do on this channel, you might have noticed, anything that I do, I give you a lot of ways to open doors, but it's not like, sadly, it's not, and it can't be, sadly, it's not like a physical apprenticeship where I can, or even virtual, where where maybe it's done through video call or something, but it's not like that traditional apprenticeships where you have somebody right there with you practicing all the time, watching to make sure you've done it right, and it's not so detailed that that you'll get all the answers. There are certain things I can't even talk about that I would be able to say in an apprenticeship, because I would have already tested their intent. But on here, on the internet, where anyone can see it, I'm sure some people with ill intent are going to come across here. So whilst the amount of information I have to give you is limited, like for example, I'm not going to teach you a specific song to do said specific spell or magic or ritual with. I'm not going to do that, because someone of ill intent might use it for the wrong reasons. But I can at least open that door, and for me, even the slightest amount of information, of elaborative information that was actually explained to me, helped just open that wide open. So this is not nearly as complicated as a lot of the other ones. You know, this one, I really don't have to do much to get that door to open for you, but other ones I really do have to go in a lot of depth with things. And I just feel like, you know, any subject that I do, no matter how seemingly easy or difficult, that I need to give all the details I can to help people. The biggest problem that people have when they first try to do something like this, anything of magic really, the biggest problem people have is, okay, well, I did it exactly as, you know, they said, or I did it exactly the way, you know, I was told to do it, but nothing happened. I'm trying to give you reasons for why potentially nothing happened. If you play the song in exactly the way that it's meant to be played, but there's absolutely no emotion, or not enough emotion, or the wrong kind of emotion, then it's not going to have the right energy, and it's not going to work. Same thing if you don't have the right intent. So it sounds simple, but you can't imagine how important those two things are in making this go from a regular song to a song that actually has magic in it. Later I'm going to go through a lot of the different individual kind of examples of different instruments that I have. I might not be able to give you examples of all of them, but I want to take out a lot of them and show you, okay, this is what this is what that is, so that you guys can really get feel for some of this stuff. Like for example, flutes. There's so many modern day flutes out there that don't work, and I spent probably 4 years finding the ones that do work for what I needed. And so if I can help with that and cut to the chase and show people, you know, this is good for this and this is good for that, and then people can start to look for that themselves, and it's not like a needle in a haystack because you already know what you're looking for. I started out not knowing the difference, not knowing what I was looking for. Even pagan made stuff, if it had the wrong key, I couldn't do what I wanted to do with it. So we'll do probably one on war horns, we'll do one on flutes. I don't know about the rattles and the drums, but those are the only 4 that I have right now. I don't have any other instruments, so sadly, you know, I can't demonstrate anything I don't have. But the next few videos, just look for eventually me taking out some actual instruments. I don't have time in this video, but I will do it eventually.